Hello and welcome. I'm Jay. This is smarthelping.com. I've got a little bit of a different type of model here, but it's probably relevant to anybody that's ever bought or looked at any financial model startup template that I've built on the site. This is an exit readiness test that you can perform for your organization. It is, you probably wouldn't perform this every month, maybe quarterly, but most likely once a year, and it gives you a good sense of, a lot of people who buy businesses are going to look at some high level attributes about your business. And this model goes through 7 different primary categories and then 24 different subcategories with weightings and grades. And you get a final grade uh, essentially telling you how ready your business is to exit if you were looking to sell based on all these different factors, and you get an overall score, grade letter, and score from 1 to 10. Individual grades for each section as well. So the first few tabs are definitely more quantitative, and the calculations were difficult to put together and get everything kind of organized, but it is a ton of work. But I think this tool will be a long-term tool that a lot of people can use. The last couple tabs, last couple sections are more qualitative. Now we have quantified these items like management, like legal and regulatory, but they are less about your finances of the business and more about structure and, um, well, how well the things are organized. So what I'll do is we'll start here on the summary tab. You can see you put the name of the company here, and you can go through each section and give a weight. So for example, the financial health section has 4 primary subcategories: revenue growth, profitability, financial ratios, and revenue diversification. You can give each of these a weight from 1 to 10. If you don't want a given item to count for your total score for whatever reason, you can always just leave it blank and then it won't be counted. For example, if we just left all these blank, you're basically just getting this score since there's no other weights. Um, then once you have weightings, and I'll go through how we're calculating all these scores as we go through each tab, but once you have these weights, your scores in here, you can then give each high level category its own weight. So here we're giving financial health a weight of 10, is probably the most important. Market position an 8, operational efficiency a 7, management and governance 8, legal and regulatory 6, strategic vision 8, risk management 6. All those weights are taken into account for this final grade right here. Now, if you want to see, this table tells you what score gives you a certain grade, as well as a description of each grade level. And then here's how we're calculating the weighted average. This is just helper data based on this up here. You can't print this off. You are able to print it off if you hit File, Print. I have formatted it to fit on 8.5 by 11. You could print it, PDF or print it out. I try to do the best I could with the formatting. You got a sign in date, prepared by, and some notes down here at the bottom as well to fill out if you need to. And that is the summary page. So let's dive into how we're actually calculating each of these scores for your organization. So for financial health, we are going to see the first tab. So each of the 7 categories has 2 tabs. The first tab is going to be detailed data. So for the financial health, we're going to have all the different supporting data that is used to calculate the financial score for each of these sections for the financial health category. So for revenue growth, we have a 5-year and a 3-year compounding average growth rate. To calculate that, we'll have to know what the revenue actually is right here. And it's just looking at the total growth rate from year 1 to year 5, compounding average growth rate. And it's doing from the first amount to this, and it's doing an even growth rate, and what that would have to be to get you to the from year 1 to 5, as well as from year 3 to 5 for the 3-year. So those are right here. So 5 years 90%, 3-year compounded growth rate is 43%. These scores are 10, both 10, and this is based on lookup tables here. So these are all the scoring tables. So we got revenue growth, we're defining what it gives a score of 0 to 4, 6, 8, 10 based on the growth rate being anywhere from negative to plus 20%. And this theme goes through all the financial health metrics, or most of them, for growth rate, EBITDA, net income as a percentage of revenue, cash flow as a percentage of revenue, how well the company is generating cash flow, um, all the different financial ratios you can set here. So you can define, like in this case, we're saying the current ratio, anything below 1.5 gives a score of 1. Between 1.5 and 3 gives a score of 5, and then over 3 is 10. And current ratio is just looking at um, how much current assets you have relative to the current liabilities. And there are some notes here. For example, higher is better, but too high may indicate underutilization of assets. Um, I just did a little note on each of these different ratios to give you an idea of what it is. And we go from everything. We do current ratio, quick ratio, debt to equity, return on assets, return on equity, inventory turnover, receivables turnover, if relevant. Again, if an item is not relevant for here, like for example, let's say we don't have any inventory receivables, you can always zero those out, and they will then not be counted in this financial ratio score, and that's no problem. Or if you didn't want to use any of the financial ratios in the score, you go to the summary tab, and for financial ratios, you could put this at 0, or just clear it out, and then it won't count. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? So growth rate, EBITDA, net income, cash flow margins, ratios, then we have revenue diversification. So for this one, it's interesting. You've got concentration by customer, concentration by product or service, revenue from new products, and geographical revenue distribution. Now, it's not to say any one of these things are make or break as far as if you're planning to sell, but we're looking at the aggregate effect of all these things. So having more diverse revenue gives you less concentrated risk. If a customer leaves or goes out of business, you're still going to be okay if you have a lot of different customers. So for that part, it's a little tricky. We have, so for the first part, revenue diversification is in this section here. We have revenue from top customers, and this could be the top 2 or 3, but probably not more than 5. And then your total revenue, so that'll give you that percentage. You got revenue from top products or services. Again, this could be top 2 or 3, probably not more than 5. And that relative to the total revenue. And then revenue from new products over the last X years. And that indicates if you're getting new traction from new products or services relative to how your total revenue is in comparison. Now, revenue by region, this is a tricky one. I just did 7 total regions, and you just put in what revenue you have from each. And then this here will calculate first, and it's basically going to give you a score of 2, 5, 8, or 10. 2 would be if you have any region over 60% that's concentrated. A 5, which is a little bit better, would give you nobody over 60%, but at least one customer, or sorry, one region is over 40%. And 8, which is pretty good, is nobody's over 40%, or no region over 40, but one is over 30%. And then any or all 30% or less gives you the best score. In this case, revenue is nobody's over 30%. If this were, say, $1 million, okay, now we're way more concentrated. We actually jumped all the way up to, or down to a score of 2. Saves 800,000. Okay, now you're under 60, but over 40, so you can see now this pops up. So that's how this section works. And then we're looking up the final score by doing, we look up the regional score here. Financial Health F52. And this is just pulling this scoring table based on whichever one has a 1 in it, and then it pulls the score here. Now for some of these other ones, like let's say this, average EBITDA margin is going to do a lookup on the value here against the lookup tables. So for profitability, our lookup table is going to be and we're doing average EBITDA margin, So it's in the profitability section on this table right here. And you can adjust these. I put in what I thought was reasonable for a lot of these metrics as far as the grading scales go and what different thresholds get you a better grade. But you can always go in and adjust these if you want to, or you can keep them like this, and it is a reasonable what I in my opinion for what I've put in here. And remember, guys, this is not financial advice, and use this model at your own risk. There could be errors in the model. Also, if you want to purchase the template to use it, it's just a one-time fee through the purchase link. And I think I'll just charge $65 one-time fee if you want to download it. I feel like that's probably fair uh, for the value you're getting here and for how difficult it was to build this and put everything together. Okay, so that's the financial health scores, and that's all the sections. Market position. So here we're looking at a couple of main things. We've got market share, competitive advantage, product service quality and differentiation, geographic region, and barriers to entry. So market share is pretty simple. What's the total revenue of the market or the industry, and what's your company's total sales? And there's your market share based on those two numbers. Competitive advantage has a bunch of different, we have 8 different categories here, which are going to be all of these. And they're more qualitative. So you're looking at, okay, what's unique selling propositions? And you can pick from the drop down. Do you have one strong unique selling proposition or several moderate, a few weak USPs, no clear USPs, or multiple strong USPs? So it's graded 10, 7, 4, 1, 10 being the best, having multiple unique selling propositions, and then as you go along, you can get the pattern here. You can pick whatever makes the most sense for your organization. So you want to select the most true option for each dropdown. Patents and intellectual property, cost leadership. Now, cost leadership is basically saying how well your products are priced relative to competitors. Brand strength, customer loyalty, retention is a big one, operational efficiency, technology, market responsiveness. So a lot of different kind of qualitative things that we've given grades to, and you can give weights, and you get a final competitive advantage score here. So we got market share, competitive advantage. Then our other 3 are product service differentiation. So this is just basically saying, do you have high quality and highly differentiated, good quality, moderately differentiated, average quality, minimally differentiated, or low quality, not differentiated. Geographic region. So what's your, do you have a global reach, a national reach, local? Barriers to entry, high or low, simple input there. And you're going to have to define what you think is high or low. You could put notes on that if you wanted to clarify what you're saying is a high barrier to entry. But we're just giving you a way to put it into a quantitative input here. And then these are just all, so market share has its own field, then the rest of these are all formatted the exact same, where you're picking from one of these drop downs, which fill in here, and you get a score. So that is market position. Operational efficiency. Now this is more for manufacturing or maybe e-commerce, but a lot of these metrics have to do with inventory, cost of goods sold, equipment effectiveness, production efficiency, logistics efficiency, technology utilization. So if you have a manufacturing business, this is very important. If you have, let's say, software as a service business, uh, or a digital, or just not a manufacturing business, essentially, you might not use this at all. So you might go to the summary and just hit, for operational efficiencies, it's not even relevant to count in this calculation here. But if you do have operations, this is a very good comprehensive high level look at all your different systems and giving them a score. We've got on-time deliveries, how well do you deliver your products before a promised date. What's your transportation cost per unit? Now this was a very interesting one, I thought. Here I've just defined for this metric specifically. Um, so you put your average sales price per unit, and then you put the percentage of that sales price that you think would be a good score, and medium score, and high score. So here I did 0, 5.5, and 11, and this is a researched here, these three. So these numbers are relevant. And then whatever your sales price is, this will tell you if your cost per unit for transportation is within, if it's below $1.38, in this case, at a selling price of $25, that's a score of 10, so that's very good. If it's above 138, below 275, it's a 7, middle, and then the low score here would mean a high cost per unit at over $2.75. If you were selling things that were, say, $10,000 a unit, you see now this changes dynamically, and then it is relevant, let me undo that, to this here where you can say what's your total transportation cost in a period and how many units did you ship in that same period. And that's how we're figuring out our average cost per unit to transport. So that was I thought that was pretty insightful. Warehouse utilization, so how much warehouse space you have relative to how much you're actually using. We've also got cycle time, so time to complete one cycle of the whole entire production process measured in hours. Production yield for quality, products, performance, overall equipment effectiveness. So how well are you using your equipment, and how many essentially waste units are you producing over time? Order accuracy, lead times. So a lot of great stuff on here. It took me so long to put all this together and make sure it's accurate and all the formulas are working. But I think the operational efficiency tab is great for any manufacturing business or business that's utilizing uh, making products with their own equipment. So for cost efficiency, I thought this was some insights here. So um, one thing you want to look at a manufacturing business is how well you can scale, and that's especially a key thing for acquirers is they want to know how well they can scale up your business. So some things to figure out, these top 4 items here are to help an acquirer know, okay, how well do your costs scale with revenue? So if your revenue goes up 40%, or let's say in this case, you get a 40% decrease in cost per unit as unit scales go up by 5 times. So maybe at 1,000 units, your cost is $100, and then per unit, and then maybe at 5,000 units, your cost per unit is maybe uh, $60 a unit. So that'd be a 40% decrease. And this is just a scale of how much your costs per unit decrease as you scale up revenue. So very important for scalability. And you basically have scores here is either significant decrease in cost per unit, moderate decrease, limited or no change, or the worst one be an increase in cost per unit. Now we've also got, so that's cost efficiency. You also have revenue growth relative to cost growth. So if your revenue grows a certain percentage, how much does your cost grow? So for example, if your revenue is grows by 100%, but costs only grow at 50%, that's pretty good. So meaning you're outpacing your cost by 2x of the growth. Here, revenue growth moderately outpaced cost growth about 1.5. Revenue, cost, and growth are approximately equal. Now this means that let's say your revenue grew by 100% from, let's say, 10,000 to 20,000, and your costs grew at the same proportion. Maybe they went from $100 to $200. So it just means that they both go up the same rate. And then the worst situation here would be if your costs actually grow more than your revenue. Now, again, this is not an end all be all metric, but it's just one of many metrics that are used to figure out, in this case, how well can the business scale from where it is now. So cost efficiency, revenue growth relative to cost growth. We've also got infrastructure technology. So for this one, highly scalable infrastructure and technology with minimal additional investment required. Moderately scalable infrastructure technology with some additional investment required, limited scalability requiring significant additional investment, poor scalability requiring extensive and costly upgrades. So this section, again, if you're buying a business, you want to know how well is the infrastructure and technology and how much of a pain is it going to be and how much is it going to cost to get the company up to par with these items. Now, the first part here, this could be for any business. This is not specifically related to, well, the first one is a bit related to manufacturing, but these other three, revenue growth relative to cost, infrastructure, and operational flexibility, could be any business. So this could be a relevant score here. The rest of these are definitely for manufacturing and logistics. Now, technology utilization, different than infrastructure and technology. This could also be for any business down here. So these two sections, and if you go to operational score, what I'm talking about is the scalability section and the technology utilization section. So 2 out of 3 are for essentially any business. The middle one is more for manufacturing. So if you don't want to use this, again, you would just go over to your summary. For operational efficiency, maybe I just clear out operational process score, but I still have a scalability and a technology utilization score, which is relevant. Okay, so that, we didn't really touch on operational flexibility. So that is, you're looking at how flexible operations with highly flexible operations with quick adaptation and minimal cost increases the best score. Worst score here is poor flexibility with significant delays and high cost increases. So that's how well operations can be adjusted. Maybe you want to pivot the business or what have you. All right, so those first 3 sections we went over: financial health, market position, operational efficiency, more quantitative. Now we get into the more of the structure of the business. So management and governance, we just have 3 sections: leadership, succession planning, corporate governance, and we have 4 different options for each of those that can be entered, and 10 being the best, 1 being the worst for each of these. Legal and regulatory, you've got intellectual property, regulatory compliance, legal liability. So these are all kind of due diligence items that you want to figure out if you're going to buy a business or if you're trying to sell your business. These are things that you want to try to get to the 7 or 10 categories so that that is true. And again, if you're selling your business, you're not going to be perfect on all these, but the point is, you can give weights to what you think is the most important, or you can research what's the most important, and then try to focus on getting the most important sections, getting your specific score as close to a score of a B or an A as possible. And then when you go to sell, these are the things that buyers look at to buy your business. They're going to look at these. So if you're doing really well in all these categories, it gets you to the higher end of potential valuations. And note, we're not really talking about valuation here. We're talking about exit readiness. So I have other models I've done for valuation based on, EBITDA multiples, revenue multiples, or seller's discretionary earnings multiples, and discounted cash flow. All of that, those things, I have in separate models. But this is more for internal use, or it could be for potential acquisition use if you want to look at a company and gather all this information and give it your own grade on whether you want to buy it or not. It can work for both sides, buyer and seller. Both want to pay attention to all of these different points. All right, so where were we? Legal. We've got strategic vision, so growth strategy, exit strategy, market expansion. And then we have risk management, risk assessment, insurance coverage, contingency planning. So again, this is not a end-all be-all list. There's definitely more. If you wanted to go deeper, you could. But what I'm trying to do is give the most broad, but most complete analysis of a business and if it's ready to exit based on some of the things that I think are the most important. And that's the model. I'm excited about this. I think this is, again, this is something any business could use. As it's growing, you can look at this. You might want to assess this maybe once a year, or if you're a business acquirer, you might use this all the time for a bunch of different businesses you're looking to buy, and you can give a nice qualitative score or quantitative score, grade A to F, A, B, C, D, F, A being the best, F being the worst, and a score out from 1 to 10. And use this to filter, start your, this is pretty in depth. For the financial side, the market position, it's not as much. The financial health is definitely going to be looking at financial statements, key ratios, revenue, slicing up revenue by different regions and customers. Um, the operational efficiency is also pretty in depth here. You're going to need to get a lot of information about the business. So you might want to not, unless you're pretty serious, you probably wouldn't go through the whole process of these, but you might do um, a few. And if you get to the point where you are serious and you want to pull this out and really plug in all your numbers and figure out, just give yourself some real data to say, should I buy the business, should I not, or is my business the well positioned to sell or not, or get the best valuation possible for its current revenue. I think it's a good tool. I think it covers a lot of different sections of the business operations, um, from financial, legal, regulatory, strategic vision, operational efficiency. I think this is just a really solid tool for anybody to use, that's trying to assess business. Alrighty. Um, I'm going to list the template. If we go over here to smarthelping.com, it will be part of, let me see, the valuation bundle. So I've got a lot of other templates in here that have to do with valuations and acquisitions. I will add this template in here. Like I said, I believe I said $65 one-time fee. So it'll be in there, or you can get all of these templates for a one-time fee of $99, which I believe is insanely valuable. I mean, I get paid to build all these things, and my rate's $195 an hour. I mean, the amount of time and effort that's gone into building this stuff is quite. It's a lot of time, a lot. And I have hundreds of templates, mostly financial models. Like I said, the one I'm doing today is more of like a comprehensive, exit readiness model. It's not really a startup model or a financial, like a pro forma. Normally I do pro formas. You can see all my different bundles here. If you want to buy everything I've ever built, which includes, all these SaaS models, real estate models, industry specific models, joint venture, waterfalls, preferred equity, preferred returns, IRR hurdles. This is the valuation bundle here. General accounting tools, done a lot of those. HR tools, Google Sheets frameworks, sales pipeline frameworks, non-categorized stuff. All this stuff you can get in the Super Smart Bundle, which is right here under the large template bundles for $9.99. Includes everything I've ever built. Or if you want specific sections, you can do that. And I also do template discounts. If you put 3 to 9 templates, you're going to get a 30% discount on your total purchase. 10 to 19, you get a 40%. 20 or more, and you get half off. And the best discounts are obviously buy and buy bundle, even though it might, you might not have everything you need, so you might want to utilize these as well. But the bundles give, like, 70 to 80% off the price compared to just buying them individually. But you can go through. All these are available individually. Just click on the links here on the financial models tab and check it out. I am available for hire at $195 an hour if you want me to build things in Excel or Google Sheets. I've been doing it for coming up on a decade now, almost. And I love doing it. I'll do this forever for the rest of my life. And yeah, I'm available for work. You can check out, I did some bell curves on my average cost and time it takes to do a job. This is just not really holding all else equal. It's just if you come in to do a job, this is what it usually takes on average, 3 to 6 hour range is most. Some jobs do take more time and a cost, you're looking at between 200 and 700. Alrighty, that's all I got for you on this one. Hopefully, I know I haven't done this is the first template in 3 weeks or so. I will be trying to get a couple more out as soon as possible, but we'll see how it goes. Like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.